So in my quest to find interesting riding places within a day's ride of Sydney, I came across this Bullio Pass trail and thought I'd give it a go and turn it into a big loop through the Blue Mountains and then back. So you go down to Mittagong, you come west through the Bullio Pass, head up towards Oberon, and then turn right and come back through the Blue Mountains National Park. And you end up going past the Warragamba Dam, which is Sydney's major drinking water reservoir, and head back to Sydney. As usual, any ride starting from Sydney involves at least an hour of boring freeway traffic, so make sure to pull over and get plenty of rest at the rest stops when you can. At this stage of the ride, I had no idea what was in store for me and couldn't have expected what was about to happen. My biggest challenge was actually just getting my seat height raised. And of course, losing my fight with pie addiction for the 1 millionth time. I was finally out on the country road. This is the road heading from Mittagong west towards the Bullio Pass, and it was just nice to be away from all the traffic and actually get a bit of countryside going past the visor. Finally starting to get right out in the thick of it. The track's starting to get a bit more off-road, and the scenery really starting to improve.
It's going to get busy along here soon.
Okay. All good?
I bail you up before?
Yeah, all good.
No. So a poor guy has gone off a cliff on a bike.
Oh,
He's
geez.
gone down 20 to 40 metres. And
Right.
the police are trying to get exact coordinates for helicopter and ambulance.
Yep.
There's no phone service up there.
Okay.
So if you're heading up there,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of people up there, and if you could give them one of these radios so we can talk to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
we can then
Yeah.
get coordinates through, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no worries.
That would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this.
That's okay.
That's somewhere safe.
Yeah. Suddenly my day went from touring to adventure, and I started to feel like I really had to be careful riding up this road as it got worse and worse, because I didn't want to end up like the poor fellow who'd had the accident, and wanted to make sure I was able to deliver the walkie-talkies to the people up there. after a few kilometres, I was starting to hear the sound of a helicopter. Now, this particular part of the Bullio Pass is quite mountainous and winding. Starting off here at the camping site, you wind up this road here, and the woman who gave me the walkie-talkie told me that they were about 6 kilometres along this path. So I'd set my trip meter and was heading up, watching the trip meter, and I got to 6 kilometres and still hadn't found anything. So I was starting to wonder if I'd missed the excitement or what was happening. But it was only about 1 kilometre later that I came around the corner and was confronted by the whole accident. So it turns out this fellow had indeed gone over a cliff. Here's his friend down there giving him some moral support, and there's his bike, which coincidentally is the exact same make and colour even as mine. So once the paramedics were with him, the helicopter had to return for refueling, and the plan was to come back a few hours later and airlift him to one of the nearby hospitals.
Thanks, mate. See you guys later. Yeah, I will.
They were planning to block the road off completely, so fortunately I was able to get someone to move their car and squeeze through. Although if I had have been forced to turn back, it might have saved me a little bit of pain later on in the day, which you'll see at the end of the video.
Yeah, so that's pretty safe.
It was a great feeling heading even further out west, and you could have a sense of the remoteness sort of increasing as you came out, even fewer cars, and the fact that the road behind me would be blocked off really sort of heightened my sense of isolation. Came across my first really wide water crossing, although it was very shallow, but it was nice just to have a sort of a sense of actually doing something a little bit more challenging. Of course, it wouldn't be a day out on a motorcycle if it didn't start raining at some point. And as I was approaching the top left corner of the journey, it was starting to rain quite heavily. As I was racing along, I saw a sign to a fire trail and realized that that would probably be a pretty good shortcut. So had a quick look at it on Gaia GPS, and this is it. So this track runs across, and it was indeed going to be a shortcut, so I thought I would give it a go. Turned out to be far more difficult terrain than the road I'd been riding on up to this point, but I was really enjoying this challenge. The rain had certainly made it difficult, and several times I was sliding with both wheels heading down this steep hill. This was the first time in the journey that I was actually having some serious doubts about whether I would actually be able to follow the road. It was starting to get extremely rough, and the water crossing ahead was quite deep. And it's a bit hard to see in the video, but the hill on the other side was extremely steep, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get up that hill. Turns out it was no trouble at all for the trusty Tiger 900, and I soon found myself at the top of the plateau heading along much more open roads and really enjoying this wild ride through the forest. This one caught me by surprise. I didn't expect to see this fellow out here in the bush, but there he was. Now at this point I was starting to get very tired. I'd been riding about 6 hours or so, the last 4 hours on dirt, and frustratingly I found that the gate was locked on the road that would go past the Warragamba Dam for some sort of biosecurity reason, and I realised that I was going to have to turn around and head back the entire way I had just come. It always amazes me how the same road looks different when going in the other direction. So I was enjoying the view just as much as on the way out, although I was starting to feel very tired. was very keen to get out of the forest before the sun went down, and you can sort of see the sun glinting through the trees there as it's approaching the horizon. And I was going faster and faster on roads that I thought were familiar, and probably taking a few too many risks. As soon as I stood up, I realised there was something funny going on with my left knee. It wouldn't bear much weight and would sort of buckle to the side when I stood on it. But luckily it was in a bit of a state of high adrenaline following the accident, and I also realised that I was on my own and there was really no one else that was going to get me out of this forest tonight than myself. If there's one thing I learned from this particular adventure, it was to slow down when you're tired and don't get impatient. Another thing is probably to set off a bit earlier in the day. Don't tell my wife that I've learned that lesson. Anyway, I will see you in the next adventure, once this is healed, of course.